Hi, I'm Kathy with Flathead Valley Community College, and I'm here today as part of Workforce Flathead's Opportunity Fair, and we are hearing from Mandy Johnson, the mental health counselor at FVCC, talking about stress. So welcome, Mandy. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Today I thought I could talk a little bit just about some tips, small tips for managing stress, the stress that comes with job seeking and having to find employment. Most of us have been there, and it is pretty stressful. It brings up a lot of stuff for us. So there are many reasons why looking for a new job can be stressful. And currently we're dealing with a lot of added stress and overwhelm due to COVID in addition to that. So any kind of there's a few reasons why, just to highlight them, why stress is so relevant to job seeking. One is that change is stressful in and of itself, and even good change is stressful. Uncertainty and the unknowns of the future trigger a lot of anxiety. How is this going to impact my life, my family, my income? And of course, putting yourself out there, marketing yourself to get the job you want can make an individual feel vulnerable and can trigger feelings of self-doubt. So it's good to talk about what you can do to kind of mitigate some of that stress that comes along with that vulnerability. So there are some tips that I'm planning to talk about, and kind of focus on two different things. So one is, how you're thinking about yourself in certain situations that are stressful, and then regulating how you're feeling. So those are kind of the two topics. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so let's start with thinking. So everyone has beliefs about their self in different situations. Sometimes these beliefs are helpful and accurate, and sometimes they're not so helpful and they're not so accurate. The goal here is to learn to recognize how you're believing about yourself so that you can evaluate whether, this thought is an extreme way of thinking, or if it's, not entirely true. And if not, then this is an opportunity to make adjustments. So some common thoughts that have to do with job seeking sometimes or putting yourself out there, could be related to I'm not good enough, I'm never going to get the job I want. That one's, kind of an extreme thought. There must be something wrong with me. If I mess up, say on an interview question, then I've ruined my chances. So those are pretty unhelpful and probably pretty inaccurate thoughts that one might notice. So what is more accurate and helpful? Instead of I'm not good enough, can you reframe it to I'm doing the best I can? Instead of I'm never going to get the job I want, could you say if I keep trying, I can always improve? Instead of there's something wrong with me, just that, fierce acceptance of I'm okay regardless. If I mess up, instead of I've ruined my chances, I can learn from my mistakes. Mistakes help me grow. Everybody makes them. Those are just little tiny adjustments that are more helpful, more true, and they actually reduce the distress that you feel in a situation when you can catch them and replace them. So along with the distress that you feel in your body around your thinking, or the distress you feel about your thinking, there's also a lot of stuff that's happening somatically in your body. So noticing what's going on, not only with your emotions, but the physical sensations of stress, and spending some time with that. So often our response is to we get a little bit stressed out. It doesn't feel very comfortable. So we actively avoid and distract ourselves and try and outrun the stress because it doesn't feel good. And instead, this idea is to lean into the stress and track it in your body, noticing where it lives, kind of how it moves, how it shifts, And while you're noticing it in your body, using that time to breathe and take deep breaths and sitting with the discomfort until it passes. So that takes practice, but it is really helpful, especially when we have a lot of buildup of stress that is adding to your plate. So I just added, some tips for completing the stress cycle. And this idea is really, stress is kind of ongoing, but we have all these little things that are happening to us throughout our day and our week, and we need the opportunity to complete the stress cycle. So for example, if you're in a job interview, it's stressful. Even if it goes well, it's still a stressful event. You get a lot of cortisol and adrenaline going through your body. So how do you process that and get it out of your body afterwards? And how do you, kind of restore and reset so that you're not going into the next job interview already at a higher state of dysregulation because you weren't able to process the first one. So physical activity, movement is a good way to process your stress after, a stressful event, or breathing deeply, belly breaths like we had mentioned before. And then there are a few other ones on here. I also like to highlight, connecting with others and having a way to kind of like tell your story and process verbally, how you're feeling is always pretty powerful as well. So this is the upside of stress, is that, when we can face our stressful situations, we have the opportunity to improve. So the ability to absorb strain and persevere or improve functioning despite the presence of adversity grows resilience. And, job seeking and putting yourself out there and imagining yourself in a different situation all can add to your ability to tolerate distress and stress and build resilience. So some quick things to consider with what we just talked about. What emotions do you get stuck in and why? How do you believe about yourself in a stressful situation? Is it helpful? Is it accurate? What is your stress response? The physical sensations that go along with that, and how it, takes place in your body? And what ways can you notice that you're improving and growing and noticing, the good parts of learning something new and surviving, a difficult situation? And just remembering that expressing positive emotions and reflection leads to greater resilience. So if this is something that resonates with you and you feel like you've got a good handle on it, that's awesome. But sometimes I think we do need more support and more resources as we're navigating the unknowns. So Kalispell Job Service, they have a lot of helps and supports that can help with specific parts of your journey related to looking for employment, job coaching, resume building, mock interviewing, all those things that you can practice to get better. And then with that, I'm put on Flathead Community Health Center just as the mental health support side of stress. If you feel like you've kind of tipped over to, I need a little bit more support than just stress management related to anxiety or adjustment issues, then they have supports, and there's other local providers as well that you could reach out to. And that's all I have, Kathy.
Well, that was good advice, or at least good things to think about. And thinking in terms of just my own world, I know sometimes, job interviews are stressful, but there are times where I might need to skill up, which is a whole different conversation. Maybe I need to develop a skill in a certain area to help me feel more comfortable.
Yes.
And so there are potential options for that, whether it be, some of the free courses through Coursera, things like that. But if people have questions on that, they can connect with us here at the college too, at careers with an S at fvcc.edu, and we'll try and be a resource on some of that skills building as well. Mandy, really appreciate your taking the time to share. I think it's so easy to be hard on ourselves when we might be understanding with other people, but a little harder on ourselves in regard to job searching and what have you. This video will live on the Job Service Kalispell YouTube channel, as well as being posted at the end of the week on workforceflathead.com. So with that, thank you so much, Mandy. We appreciate your time and your information today.
Thanks.
Take care.